What's up? This is Tom Froman from twinsdaily.com. And earlier today, I kind of threw it out there that I don't basically didn't think it'd be the worst thing in the world if Jake Odorizzi rejected his qualifying offer. Turns out he accepted it. Uh, the Twins put themselves in a win-win situation by extending that qualifying offer. On the one hand, it's certainly not the worst thing in the world at all that Jake Odorizzi accepted and he's back and he's plugged into their rotation. That gives them some certainty, really alleviates a lot of anxiety heading into the open market with potentially 4 rotation spots to fill, depending on how you view it. So him returning is good. It is only a 1-year commitment, 17.8 million is a lot, in my opinion, to pay a guy of Odorizzi's class. But the Twins were kind of in this position where they needed a lot of arms. So, however, again, with this tweet that kind of generated a lot of discussion, which was fun. I enjoyed it. Some people reacted, strongly in that this was a poor take. So I don't know. Maybe it is. You tell me. I feel this way. I'm honest. People were very confused at who I thought were one of these similar pitchers in the market who would cost less. So that I want to get into. And, I'll present my case. If you disagree, certainly let me know. And I'm going to present the information first, and we're going to have a fun discussion about some stats and why it's important to look at a bunch of stats. I am going to try to present the whole picture and not completely, skew everything to be in favor of this player I'm presenting. So let's get into it. We should have some fun here. Let's go. All right. So yeah, as you can see in this sheet, we're going to take a look at several different stats and we're going to compare them to Jake Odorizzi, player X, who's a free agent. These are all the same free agent on the market, and Jose Barrios. I'm throwing in Barrios just as another sort of data point that Twins fans will. We know who Jose Barrios is, who he is in our mind. The reason why I'm going to call him Player X for now is because if I tell you his name, you have an idea of who he is in your mind as well. And that's going to just totally ruin this whole thing if you already jump to that. So the first stat I'm going to pick is cherry picked. Definitely, I will cop to that. Cherry picked June 13th forward. You can see here Player X was better than both Jose Barrios and Jake Odorizzi from that point forward. I would like to point out that this isn't exactly a small sample either. This is, 100 plus innings for these two guys, 88 and 2/3 for Odorizzi. And you can see the ERA way lower, quite a big difference in whip. However, xFIP minus, pretty similar across the board there. And Odorizzi actually holds the advantage in Sierra. Woba, however, in player X's favor. Again, I'm trying to include some stats here that give the whole picture. I could have eliminated some of those to try to trick you to make it look like things are looking a little way more one-sided just off ERA, but it's not the case. And the key point is there, I'm not trying to really say that player X is better than Odorizzi here. That'll become apparent later on. I think basically I wouldn't be shocked if this guy has a just as good a year in 2020 is my main point I'm going after. So the next stat, also incredibly in favor of player X, third time through the order stats. And this is not cherry-picked timeline. This is for the entire 2019 season. You can see this guy holds the advantage in average on-base slugging OPS K percentage, not just above Odorizzi, but even Barrios. And just take a look at this. Again, this is one of my biggest concerns that I shared about Odorizzi was his third time through the third time through the order numbers are horrible. And this was one of the biggest reasons also that I wanted to include Barrios in this to give us some further context. That kind of through this example that I'm sharing, I'm more so trying to point out that Jake Odorizzi, he's a good solid starter, good major league starter. He's going to help you win a division. He's going to help you, get through 30 starts probably. But I don't view him as somebody who you really are comfortable with starting in the postseason. And you know what? The Twins started Randy Dobnak over him in the ALDS at Yankee Stadium. So I don't even really need to go further on that. I also view player X in that same light. So I'm not trying to elevate this player and say that he's going to be excellent. I just think these two guys are in the same class. They're probably going to be good starters, going to get you through a season, help you win a bunch of games, but then after that, probably not make you feel too great about your chances with them. So you can see Barrios, who is more of a top of the rotation starter, they let him face 244 guys the third time through the order. Odorizzi only 130, and even my player X here 151. So that's kind of a display of kind of even though Barrios' numbers aren't the best of this, I'm elevating him and making sure to include him and point out the fact that these are just different classes of pitchers. Now, here's where things kind of split and make my guy look bad, and I just wanted to be honest about it. Full season stats, player X, not looking too great in most of these categories compared to our guys from the Twins. However, he did throw more innings than Odorizzi by just a few, and the xFIP are very similar. Now, how did that all turn out? Since he was so good in the later on in the season compared to those two, this player X had a terrible start to the season, just awful. So his full season numbers don't look great. Why is that xFIP number so close? You might be wondering. Well, that part of that stat is it kind of tries to project what would happen if each pitcher had a more close to league average home run to fly ball ratio. And this is kind of neither here nor there, but I wanted to just explain that and that to show that Jake Odorizzi's home run to fly ball ratio was 8.8. And his career numbers are lower than player X and Barrios. So I think it's fair to say that's a big sample. We can expect Odorizzi to have a better rate in that category than these two guys. But league average was 15.3%. So even, every projection system is going to project Jake Odorizzi to not be able to replicate his 2019. xFIP is almost saying what would happen if he reverts all the way to league average, which is maybe unfair. Just wanted to throw that in there, and that's a great example of why you don't want to just take one of these stats ever and say, well, this. At least in my opinion, there's not a pitching stat that you can go to yet, at least, that I'm aware of. Maybe somebody can convince me. Let me know if you think. So I'm trying to give a whole picture again. And then the last thing I kind of want to look at was a consistency. Now, since we're talking about these guys in terms of how they can help a team win games over the course of the season, I want to look at Game Score 2.0. And basically, that's just a score assigned to every single start. So we're looking at these guys more on a start-by-start basis. The guy with the best average game score 2.0 was Odorizzi. The guy with the best median was Barrios. But this is fairly close, 62 to 61 to 57. I'd say the same thing, 58, 57, 53. Those are all pretty close. 50 is league average, is kind of the aim of game score. But you look here, and 80 plus, Barrios had 5, the most. Player X had 4. Odorizzi only had 2. Big reason for that is Odorizzi doesn't pitch deep into games. However, he did have the most 70, even though it was close. 60 plus is really where player X slumps here. Doesn't make the presentation look good. However, 50 plus, that is, you get to 50, like I said, 50's average. Anything above that is you should be better than the guy you're facing in that day's matchup. Pretty similar in terms of how these guys are going and delivering an above average start. Odorizzi 21 and 30 starts, player X 22 and 31 starts, Barrios 22 and 32 starts. So, at this point, the biggest thing, again, I want to say is this sort of calculation. And that this was more of the point I was trying to make if Odorizzi had rejected the qualifying offer, which he accepted. Is had Odorizzi rejected the qualifying offer, it would have saved the Twins $17.8 million, and if he signed elsewhere, it would have earned them a draft pick. Player X is projected to sign a 1-year, $7 million contract by Kylie McDaniel of Fangraphs. Their outside, their sort of crowdsourced projections were actually lower than that. I think there were 1 and 5.5 or $5 million for this guy. So, would I take player X over Jake Odorizzi straight up? No. Would I take player X, $10.8 million, and a draft pick over Jake Odorizzi? Yes, I would. Now, at this point, Odorizzi's in-house. Player X is still a free agent. There's no rule against getting both of them in the end. So I do think that this guy might represent a nice option for the Twins. However, how many of these guys do you want to pencil, these veteran guys, do you want to pencil into your rotation as these sort of, 3-4 type starters who, definite major leaguers, guys who can contribute to a winning team, but once you get into the postseason, you don't feel great about starting them. I don't know what the answer to that question is, but not too many of them. You don't want to stack your entire rotation with those guys if you can avoid it. Jose Barrios can't be like the lone guy, obviously, at the top of the Twins rotation. So That's basically the entire deal. Now I will prepare for all of your booze, and we will reveal player X. It's Homer Bailey. So you see, if I would have told you Homer Bailey at the start, you would have just turned this off. No one would have made it this far, okay? So again, I'm not saying I would rather have Homer Bailey than Jake Odorizzi. I'm saying the investment that it took to keep Jake Odorizzi and the potential if he left, I didn't think it would be the work. I didn't. It would. It might have worked out in the Twins' favor had Jake Odorizzi left and signed with another team. They save that money. They can devote that elsewhere. They get a draft pick. Maybe they uncover a guy who's on the upswing. Bailey had a great end to his season. He altered his pitch mix last year. Just things started going back in the right direction for him. Obviously, this is sort of like a retread, very Twins-esque signing would Homer Bailey be, old school Twins-esque. So I imagine most of you have probably already turned this off right now and are tweeting at me how stupid this idea is. But I think that case I presented is pretty solid. Obviously, I tried to present as big of a picture as I had time to. Obviously, there was going to be some cherry picked things that you could twist to the complete opposite direction and push in Odorizzi's favor far beyond Bailey. But I think there's at least a conversation to be had there. And when it's presented in that, Odorizzi versus $10.8 million in a draft pick in Bailey, that's what I would have preferred. But again, Twins put themselves in a win-win situation, getting Odorizzi back on a one-year deal. There's very little disaster potential. It's a very low, commitment. Honestly, I'm surprised that they didn't extend Michael Pineda a qualifying offer, especially since he has, I think, 39 games of his suspension left. You'd only have to pay him actually about 75% of that qualifying offer. He's maybe an obvious guy who would have also fit in much better in this, similar investment, but maybe better player. I think we all thought before the suspension Michael Pineda might have been even the Twins' game one starter, the way Odorizzi and Barrios were pitching kind of down the stretch. So just some stuff to think about. I hope you enjoyed this. Again, I don't expect everybody to to appreciate the end result of Homer Bailey. And that's okay. But I hope this was kind of a fun exercise to go to. And yeah, let it rip. Let me know what you think. Again, this has been Tom Fromming from TwinsDaily.com. Thanks for checking this out. Have a good one.